advent of your casting career to begin with? Because yeah, you're talking about how script
Yeah.
kind of helped you have your back during your first foray into being on the mic. Yeah, tell me
Oh
about it.
yeah. So it was man, it was my first tournament ever. My first tournament ever. I always had aspirations about just talking about video games. I basically wanted to be like, what is that? Tim Johnson or the Reggie Miller of like commentating or the Stephen A. Smith of video games. Like I always had those aspirations. I wanted to be on G4 TV when I was like a kid.
So not
So like
necessarily a caster, but more like a couch analyst kind of thing.
I basically a sports personality, but I wanted to do it for video games. Like I really wanted to do it. I still want to do it for video games. So
Yeah.
like um there was a time to where I um I just needed to find just some type of entry way to do this, and they had casting. So shout out to my boy Devin Krebs over here in Houston as well, and he threw a lot of tournaments. He had a stranglehold on the scene for a very very long time. Still does, in a sense, even though he's like basically retired. Um, so we had a tournament like down the street from me, and I wanted to play, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I see that they have a microphone. I can talk about the game. And I just sat down, bro. I just sat down and I started talking about it, and I just
That's how it
liked it.
starts.
I dabbled in it a little bit when I was at Tournament Stars. It was a pool hall with a little game room in the back that nobody used, but that's where all the setups were and whatnot. And then as we kept just doing tournaments over and over again, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm trying to commentate. I'm trying to commentate often, like really, really often. And I just fell in love with it like right then and there. And I was like, yo, like this is actually pretty cool. It's actually very cool. And, them boys paid me at the end. Right.
Hmm. It's
And
always a
like,
bonus. Yeah,
right. And as I
especially at the
kept doing
level
it
that you do.
more, right, right. And as I kept doing it more and more and more and more and more, I saw that, people within the city were just reaching out to me for opportunities and things of that nature. So it was Devin at first, and Devin kind of opened up the gateway because I casted so many events in Houston, and then that's when I started meeting the people from Austin, and then my homeboy Joey, he was basically that's when Joey became my static partner for a long time, for like a year, because we wanted to we wanted to make a name. We wanted to like take this shit over basically. Like we wanted to be like, yo, like we're the game in town. Like when we cast, it is what it is. And then we started getting gigs in DFW for things like Low tier city 5? No. Low tier city 6 was my first major technically. So
And this
that
would
was a
have been what? This would have been 2019 or
this was
2020?
20 this was 2018. Shit. I mean, I got the sticky notes, bro.
It's all
I
good, man.
I got the sticky notes. I can tell you for a fact when this was.
No, no, but
I,
it's kind of interesting because we both have that sort of the crux of our careers seems to be in some way the esports stadium in Arlington, Texas.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so geeked when they built that because I'm an esports fan and I'm thinking to myself like, yo, like they're gonna put things like Counter Strike in here and they're gonna put League in
They
here
they
and
they're
they're
about to
gonna
put the Houston Outlaws up in that thing, man. Yeah, like absolutely.
yes. So yeah, see, I have it right here. So 2018 was like my first foray. Like I said, I went and did low tier city 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my first majors. But then Houston got so big, it was doing just huge events to where like we were bringing in like national talent. And then I didn't go to my true major, my true first major until 2GG Congo Saga. It was 2019.
Mm.
It was at the end of 2019, and Congo Saga was um
Yeah.
was my first event, and
Rest in
I
peace,
was
2GG, by the way. What an
yeah.
org, and like really one of those things that we don't talk about much nowadays just because the landscape is what it is and it seems to be kind of changing over time, as
Yeah.
there's just not a whole lot that's really able to be built up in Smash. But 2GG was one of those mainstays, especially out in Southern California. Like, it made LA the place to be for a while.
Yes. Yeah. Like we like to be at a 2GG event, bro. That wasn't our Super Bowl, but that was like a playoff game. Like that was the
Oh,
place
I
that we
applied
had
for
to
it.
be. Yeah,
I
like
applied for it,
many,
I
many,
guarantee you.
many, many times, bro. And
Mm.
I remember that 2019. I think that was like that 2019 was like the cherry on top because I was cooking that entire year, bro. I did the Texas events, of course, Low Tide City, but then I was at South by Southwest. I was at Kumite in Texas. I was at Red Bull. Like I was doing a lot of stuff, and like that keeping up that consistency that went into 2020, right?
Yeah.
And then that 2020 I was at what did I do at that 2020? I did Frosty Faustings, and
Mm.
then I did Frostbite in 2020, and then
And then what
unfortunately
happened?
the pandemic happened, bro,
Yeah.
and then
Mm-hmm.
we all got put on in a real life time skip, and
Yeah.
nobody did anything for a year. Nobody did anything for a year. Now
Yeah.
the next year after that was a little bit bittersweet because towards the end of 2021 we are starting to get outside and get back to work and everything. I did an esports thing for the Big 12 conference, which was really really cool. Shout out Vicky Kitty, I did it with her,
Right on. Yeah.
and we did that. And then the next year it was like, okay, we're starting to get back to work a little bit. We had of course in 2022 we had, what is that, we had the Nintendo World Tour, basically, right? We
Yeah.
had part of it, and I was there for,
The VGBC.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
for Lost Tech City, Rise and Grind. I did
Yeah.
Combo Breaker top 8. We did Low Tide City. That was the year that you and I we did Collision.
That's right. Yeah,
That was
we had, I think, a Sunday block, and
we had a Sunday block on Collision.
that was one of the first big events that I got to MC as well. Actually, and you
Yeah.
were talking about the time skip. I didn't like, and I'll just interject this personal note real fast.
Okay.
I was supposed to MC at Collision for 2020, so I'm preparing for that. And the very next week is when it gets called. Like, we're in a pandemic. Everything has to
Right.
be canceled. So that
Right.
was one of those things where, like, yeah, obviously I was bummed out, but the more important thing is, hopefully we're safe, hopefully we're getting there. And it was really only like 2022 where I felt like, I was sort of trying to get things back on track, and from that I got the job I got the job at Rise and Grind directly from doing Collision. Like, Cac
Oh
gave me
yeah.
the job after Grand Finals. Like, he walked up to me, and like that was the whole thing. I started tearing up and everything. But it kind of felt like 2022 was when we got things back on track, and I'd imagine that the same thing happened for you as well.
Yeah, somewhat. 2022, like I said, I did all of that. 2022 is when I did Rise and Grind, Combo Breaker, Texas Showdown, Collision, and then after 2022, I was able to do a lot of stuff, but I knew for a fact that for me, the Smash stuff was about to start slowing down
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to pivot hard to Street Fighter 6,
Yeah.
and I knew that, like, the game is in a place right now that it's just like I really don't care for the game too much. I love everybody involved in it. I've grown up with a lot of people I've known in like the last 5 years, right?
Brother, you
Like
think I
I
don't get it?
Right, like, what I'm saying,
Yeah,
but like,
but at the same